We now have the next session, which we titled it a great debate. And the idea being the great debate is that financial services have such a huge explosive opportunity. The per capita consumption of financial services in large parts of Asia today, in many ways, we can say is restricted to maybe one or two, or at best, on an average, three services per consumer. We think, as an analyst firm, that over the course of next decade, the overall consumption of financial services, if we have to take some inspiration from what we are seeing, some of the insurance companies or banks in China are beginning to see, can go up dramatically to about 20 or 30 or 40. So we're going to see some explosive growth in financial services. Now, can the new banks, the neo banks of today, can they win in this space? Can telecom companies who have participated in many of these markets through payment solutions or through some other financial service solutions, can they win in this space? Do they have the capability to execute this plan? And that is the theme of this session. And I'm delighted to have two very esteemed members to join me. Thank you for joining us. Ganesh is the COO with Airtel Payments Bank based out of India, I think Gurgaon. And Suman is a founder and CEO of Finan Bank. They just launched their operations, launched their services live, I think, just a couple of months ago. So we have some real fresh perspectives from both of them. Before we start with them, we could do a quick poll question. So if I could have that poll question, as many of you are in the telecom industry, do you guys think that neobanks and telecom service providers have it what in them to win in financial services? Can we have the poll question, please? Excellent. Can neobanks and telecom service providers win in financial services? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. It's a quick poll. Let's see how the audience of largely telecom service providers in the region view this. In the previous poll, they thought that they have a better ability to win in the cloud and as compared to financial services. And I think the discussion with the CTOs kind of explained that a little better, that they could do it simply because they believe that the edge is a huge opportunity for the telcos to win in that space. So can we have the results, please? So that Ganesh and Suman have something to talk about. Everybody believes it is that easy a job to win in financial services. Okay, good. So let's start with you, Ganesh. Ganesh, Airtel Payments Bank, you guys have been one of the pioneers. Obviously, you have a very different regulatory regime in India. So therefore, you necessarily don't have, it's a separate entity, yet under the same parent company. Will be great to hear from you, the journey of Airtel Payments Bank and, how you are positioned in the marketplace.
Thanks, Manoj. Good morning, Suman. Good morning, Manoj. And good morning to, everyone, listening to us. It's a pleasure to sort of talk to you all and hear views, from everyone. I'll very quickly talk about the journey of Airtel Payments Bank. We are a 4-year-old organization. We launched our services in January 2017. As of date, we process close to $35 billion of annualized payment flows, or GMV, or throughput. We've got more than 50 million.
$35 billion
of annualized flows is what we have. So approximately $3 billion a month, growing at a very, very good pace. We've got more than 50 million revenue earning customers with us. Almost 27 million customers who transact every month. Transact is defined as a financial transaction on our platform. I'm happy to say that last year the bank turned contribution margin positive. Which is a very, very important milestone, given that when we turned contribution margin positive, we were possibly 3.5 years old. We are amongst the top 3 or top 4 banks in some of the key use cases which consumers really sort of love, which is FASTag and BBPS, which includes all bill payments, which customers do. We also pride ourselves on having possibly one of the largest active BC agent network in the country. We've got close to 330,000 active BC agents who actually in a fully digital manner, help customers do basic financial services transactions like opening a bank account, depositing cash, withdrawing cash, buying a small ticket insurance product, and so on and so forth. And what's more important, is that more than 60% of them are in Tier 5 and Tier 6 markets, which is less than 5,000 population villages. India has 720,000 villages in the country as per the last census. Possibly only 70,000 ATMs which are there in rural. Out of the 220,000 ATMs. So, fact is, you have one ATM serving 10 to 12 villages, maybe 15 villages in the country. And hence, the need for an active BC agent in rural, near the customer's residence, I think is very, very important. And, I think we've built this over the last few years, obviously, with the support of the parent telco. Finally, and hence, while, this is a very, very important mission, for the bank, which is to drive financial inclusion, what is equally important is our neobank capabilities. Over the last several quarters, we have actually launched what I would think three very, very significant innovations. I'll build on with what Rashim spoke about in the previous panel, which is SafePay, where in partnership with Airtel, and using the analytics of the network team of Airtel, we've actually created a product where a customer necessarily needs to give a third factor of authentication, to ensure that a transaction is done. We get more than 40,000 transactions today happening on SafePay, and that number is actually growing by possibly 5-10% month on month. And we've got more than 250,000 of our customers who are already engaged with SafePay. We've launched it just 4 weeks back. The ATL just about broke, I think, a couple of weeks back. So I think that's a very, very important proposition. Secondly, we've launched video KYC. I think there are a few banks in the industry who offer video KYC. We are amongst them. Basis informal numbers I get, I believe we are amongst the top two banks, who in terms of number of accounts opened via video KYC. I think that's the second key proposition. And the third one is a proposition for digitally savvy customers, a bank account for digital customers called Rewards 123, where it's a proposition which is appealing to customers like all of us, with the intent of it being very, very simple, transparent, and rewarding. I think that's really what the proposition is. So a combination of these three things, in addition to all the stuff which I spoke to you about, we do believe that we've made a good start in the neobanking space. But India is so large, I think there is, opportunity for this to grow up by 10-15 times of where we are currently. So this is really, Manoj, been our journey, what I would say, over the last, 4 years, with two key specific areas. One, wanting to genuinely serve the nation by driving financial inclusion. More than 300 million households in India, where the nearest bank account is far away, or bank branch is far away, or the nearest ATM is far away. And second is, winning in the digital space by creating propositions and products which customers find very, very exciting. So that's in brief about the journey of the bank so far.
Excellent. So I think Ganesh, that's good to hear. And so you explained the distinctive value proposition, but you're also stuck in India with a regulation that you have to have an arm's length relationship with the Airtel Telecom company. So even in that instance, how do you leave? What is the benefit of being having a same parent company, which is also into telecom and in banking? Is there any leverage at all? Because I'm sure many of the telecom operators in different parts of the world will have a similar challenge.
Yeah. So Manoj, I'll comment on your question in two parts. And I'm just caught on the phrase you mentioned. You're stuck with a regulation. I personally think that the regulator in India is extremely, extremely customer friendly. Yeah. Now, if those regulations didn't exist, I have a sense that organizations, obviously a lot of us are professional, hence we won't do that. But there are chances that organizations could cross the boundary, and possibly may not be good for the customer. So I do believe that the regulations in India are very, very centered towards ensuring that people's money are protected. Fact is, you and I have our money with a bank whom we trust. There is a regulator who's responsible to ensure that that money is very safe. So to that extent, I think, I'm, on the side where the regulations are very critical for the success of the banking industry itself. Yeah. Secondly, I also do think that the regulator is also making progress with changing times. For example, the video KYC, circular which came in, I think in February last year. It's been a year, yeah, and they just sort of got it out in time for a lot of wallets to sort of possibly upgrade to a bank account. And during COVID, I think it's been very very critical, because if that circular weren't there, then you couldn't do basic banking transactions with customers in a contactless manner. So I do believe that the regulator is making progress in terms of regulations and so on and so forth to get that going. I think that's one part. The second part, which is I think the core question which you asked, Manoj, is with obviously we are a standalone organization. We have our own board. There is a very very watertight set of conversations we have. It's a separate entity for all practical purposes. However, we do rely quite extensively on the telco. I think the most important aspect really is the brand. Customers in India love Bharti Airtel as a brand. It is possibly amongst the top 3 most loved brands across possibly sectors and industries. Yeah. So I think that's a big positive which sort of comes in. Second, there is a relationship which the telco has, and we have a very clear marketing agreement where the telco will market the use cases of the bank to its 330 million plus customers. And I think that makes sure that the return on investment on some of the marketing activities the telco does, is possibly a fraction for us as compared to what it would be for a standalone organization. Thirdly, I did mention, with a lot of pride, that we have 330,000 BC agents who serve customers in rural India. This would not have been possible if the telco reach weren't there. The telco has possibly approximately 1 million outlets in the country. Airtel has 1 million outlets in the country, where customers come in every day for their recharges. And hence using that network, makes a lot of sense. Airtel is our business correspondent as far as the regulator is concerned, and I do believe that that relationship is working extremely well, where we're able to leverage on the strengths of the telco and help the bank scale. Otherwise, getting to $35 billion of annualized flows in a very short span of time, being contribution positive, I think those are things we may possibly have not been able to get to in a 3 to 4 year time frame, but for the support of the parent telco. That's what I would say, Manoj.
Excellent. Great perspective. Thank you for that. Suman, thank you for patiently waiting. You bring a very diverse experience. You worked in Europe. You worked with some in this space in Europe, and then you were inspired to come back and start this in India. So, what has been the journey so far of coming and setting up a neo bank in India, which offers such incredible possible or potential for growth?
Hey, Manoj, thanks for hosting me. And Ganesh, you made me jealous with those numbers, really. I'll tell you that. We neo banks really, we dream and we want to be there. It's such interesting and but okay. So coming to your question, Manoj, to give you a context, I was on the both sides of the table on multiple things, right? I started my career as a telecom engineer. I'm a telecom engineer, so I saw the whole transition from SS7 signaling to HC23 to SIP to WebRTC, and now moving totally into fintech, right? For the last 6 years, I've been working as a venture capital based out of Europe. It's my 17 years journey in Europe, and we invested in multiple neobanks back in Europe, and I was handling the fintech portfolio. And and then I saw a huge potential for, of fintech in India. I will not say neobank. How we started neobank is a different story. So when I saw in what happened in the last 5 or 6 years in India, it's only two things. One is spending, and another is lending. Right, the whole the wallet app, UPI, and everything, and then came the whole lending and everything. But none of the people are really thinking on the consumer point of view. How we can really help people to manage, save, and invest their money in a simpler and smarter way. Like what like what Ganesh said. Right, Ganesh mentioned it, they're going on the tier 5, tier 6 side of cities where they're doing the financial inclusion, which is quite interesting. But if you really have to see, they say that India is underbanked, but for certain segments, India is overbanked. Okay, for example, tier 1 and tier 2. But even when we are talking about India is overbanks or this segment, none of the people are focusing on consumers. It's like I build a product, I cross-sell the product, I master the product, and I just onboard the customers. But what are the customers? What exactly they need? Okay, and whether it can be banks or whether it can be fintech or whether it can be telecom, they're sitting on huge data. And what is the data they are leveraging on understanding the patterns, right? So that's what that's what when I moved to India, we wanted to build a platform where we can help people to manage, save, and invest their money in a simpler and smarter way. And during this process, we saw that until and unless you're a bank, you will never be understanding or you will never be providing hyper personalization of products for the users. Right. That's when we decided, okay, we want to be a bank. And as Airtel have their payments bank license, but as neobanks, we are still, we have to see how we have to. So we partner with an existing bank. We partner with an existing bank, and we have to piggyback on their license, and we have to piggyback on their architecture, and that's a nightmare, I'll say. And on top of that, we have to. And on top of that, we started building a consumer focused neobank where we help our users to manage, save, and invest their money in a simpler and smarter way. So we understand their user patterns, we understand their behavior, we understand their risk appetite, we understand their spending patterns. On top of that, we see what is the income, what is the salary, or what is the money he's carrying over from one month to another month. Okay, where exactly he is overspending. Instead of telling you how much you spend eating out, we tell you 50-30-20 rule, follow the simple 50-30-20 rule, and this is the amount you can spend out. And we are reaching it when you're reaching a threshold, we notify you're spending out a lot. Why don't you eat at home? Ghar ka khana bhi acha hai. So it's like it's more like we call ourselves Fitbit for finances, right? Where we help our users to build a better financial habit, so they can save more. Because people are taking loans and EMI for everything, right? Instead of that, why don't you save? Why don't you save and for an emergency fund? Why don't you save for a rainy day? And we automate your savings. We build goal-based savings. We build smart budgeting, and we are building and we are covering the whole 360 degrees of financial banking for the tier one segment, especially for white-collar job holders and white-collar freelancers. And we launched recently. It's been 2 months, and the response is great. The traction is really impressive, and the amount of activity we have our community boards and we have on our community channels, it's really interesting. And I think we really saw the product market fit for a neobank in India, and right now we are more focusing on scaling and growing.
Excellent. And in terms of the specific distinctive segment that you are focusing, what segment is it? Is it the rural market? Is it the youth? Is there a specific segment, user segment?
We are focusing on more tier one, tier two, digital, mobile savvy, white collar job holders, and white collar freelancers. These are the segments we are focusing on.
Across the length and breadth of the country.
Yes, across the length and breadth of the country. That's what we are focusing right now. But again, as banks are basic for anything, right? So we can always focus on verticalized targets, but right now we want to focus on this, and we don't want to lose the focus once we get a traction. Let's see how things goes. It all depends on the acquisition, it all depends on the partnerships, it all depends on how we can grow and scale.
Sure. So for the next part of this conversation, for the next about 12-14 minutes or so, I want to take I want to be a provocator, asking you all because the title was The Great Debate. Can you guys really win in the long term? Can you have a bigger impact? The opportunity is there, and that is more from the perspective of we have seen many banks in Europe. They start off in a very promising manner, yet they have not necessarily executed as well up to their expectation. Same is happening in Australia as well. But we also have many success stories as well. And my line of questioning is more so that we have a better understanding of the opportunity and what it takes to win rather than really targeting. So maybe the first question is, one of the big challenges with the neobanks is we are always picking up very low margin, high growth potential projects. And as a result of which, maybe breaking even, making money, getting to that necessary scale to make money is a distant dream. Is that a real challenge? How do you propose that you will address that challenge? Maybe we start with you, Ganesh.
Sure. So, Manoj, I think it's a very, very important, point to sort of discuss. I'll take you through, what our approach has been, because as I mentioned in the introduction, we are proud to say that we have turned contribution margin positive, and this is despite sort of playing in what you call potentially low margin businesses. To me, I think I will answer this question in two parts. One, margin is a function of obviously what the customer or what we get from a partner, and is a function of the cost we incur in serving customers. Yeah, for us, because we ride on a very, very strong brand of Airtel, the cost to serve customers is very low, and hence what is potentially low margin for standalone entities doesn't necessarily need to be as low as it is for us. And hence I think that's one important aspect, and hence the benefit of 330 million customers of Airtel, the strong brand, the distribution, the strong technology and digital platforms, I think really helps in a big way. I think that's one answer. The second thing I would think is that every category has a role to play in the portfolio of an organization. There would be potentially products like UPI where the margins are actually zero, they are regulated, but at the same time there could be products like insurance, or a life insurance product where the margins could be as high as 30-35%. So I do believe that products like UPI, their role is to drive engagement, get customers to use our platform on a daily basis. Yeah, you could pay your bills, you could pay zillions of things, and so on and so forth. Now, depending on what kind of customer experience you offer, what kind of experience you offer on your platform, and how do you nudge the customer to do more transactions, I think is how you would eventually end up making money. We are actually today we sell a sizable amount of insurance products on our platforms in a fully digital manner, and that's because the experience we offer our customers is pretty interesting. So while the customer does come to our platform to do a utility bill payment where the margins are actually $2.5 a utility a bill. So if your average ticket size is say $2,000, it's actually a 10 bps margin. Yeah, UPI could be zero. So while the customers do come for these kinds of transactions, that's what drives engagement. As my CTO always says, it's like a toothbrush habit, creating a toothbrush habit, and getting more customers to come on to our platform more often and doing all of these transactions, then nudging the customer to move towards potentially higher margin products, I think is the way to go. And I think that's something which we have done over the last few quarters, and it's given us very good results. Finally, there is a price which I do believe that customers will be willing to pay for simplicity, transparency, and consistency, which is what our Rewards 123 proposition is. We charge customers 299 rupees as an annual fee, and as a consequence of that, we assure the customer that there are steady cashbacks offers which the customer will get right through the year. Because today, for people like us, who aren't as much stressed about, the cashbacks, but obviously have a stress on time, we don't want to go to any platform which is available who doesn't have a cashback. Because at the end of the day, we tend to feel cheated saying, listen, there's an opportunity lost. Can I get that, penny saved? And hence we would be delighted if there is someone who came and told us, saying, listen, and this is what research has, showed us. We did a lot of, consumer study, to understand this. And the insight really was that customers said, listen, I want an offer. I don't care if it's the best offer in the industry, but I just want an offer which is consistent. And I want you to be very, very transparent, because sometimes, the offer says, saying, listen, you get $100, but you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7. Only then you get it. I'm saying sometimes, and those are things which customers, don't appreciate as much. So consistency, simplicity, and transparency, customers are willing to pay, and we've seen that with Rewards 123, which is a premium offering we have, we're charging customers 299 rupees for that, and hopefully in a few weeks we should launch a more premium variant for that one, because I do believe that there is a lot of money to be made in this space, as long as you're able to deliver the right value and the right proposition to the customer. So that's what I would say, Manoj, is the opportunity we have, and how we would sort of look at this business.
Excellent. Suman, like this, you have had experience lending money to these banks. You have experience now in building your own bank. Are you really going to get the low margin customer, the low margin product, and therefore scale becomes such a big critical factor in your profitability?
Sure. Look, I will, Ganesh, thanks a lot. I can't put it much better. Okay, I'll tell you that. I think the thing here is very clear. You compared in your question, you're talking about neobanks in Europe or neobanks in Australia, right? And neobanks in India. The issue with neobanks in Europe and Australia or any out of India, they are living or surviving on a 0% or zero interest or negative interest countries, right? So they really have to survive on the MDR, okay, and on the banking fees. Other than that, there is no business model over there. Okay, nobody wants to put money in bonds like the way people put money in mutual funds in India. All right, so the business model is totally different. And like Ganesh said, right, simplicity, consistency, and transparency. That is the thing, right? If you can show them the value, how simple you can. You don't. Right now, you have to be a financial analyst to look at your bank statement, right? Even if you can improve how the bank statement or bank transactions look on your mobile bank, it changes the experience drastically, right? And the transparency. When coming to the transparency, in a lot of travel websites, they have this buy travel insurance check by default, and most of the people they don't even buy the travel insurance because they don't know what they get. They don't know how to get if they buy it. However, you put 5 bullet points on this is what you get, then this is how you get, and people will be more than happy to buy an insurance because it's just 100 rupees. And like that, there is huge margin, right? And consistency, right? If you can prove to the user who is living EMI to EMI, paycheck to paycheck, that you can help them to save 100 rupees to start with, and the user will be more than happy to give you 5 rupees out of that 100 rupees, right? Because the problem is that the value what you bring to the user, how you bring to the user, and when to bring to the user. Right? That's what matters and things. And I will say, if you see any bank, right? People talking about unicorns in all the startups. Unicorn is now there's no value for a unicorn anymore. Okay, now it's decacorn, not decacorn, right? But if you see every bank is a unicorn, and I'm not saying every bank, every product in a bank is a unicorn, right? So there are multiple products in a bank which are unicorns. How about taking that one product and building in such a way that you can build a better product, right? So that's why build a better product with what user needs in a better, simple way. Be transparent on what you're going to give, and be consistent in providing that value, that experience, that transparency. And I think there is a lot of money to make, because it's not just about lending money. Because people are talking about lending money, it's not about lending money. So look at Airtel Payments Bank, right? Ganesh mentioned that people are doing FASTag and BBPS. FASTag and PVP on every app. If they are doing so better, because they're doing it in simpler and better way, right? So if they are generating money on two products, there are multiple products. If you can really push the product in the right way, it's not about, when I say push, not about picking the call and say like loan chahiye, mutual fund chahiye. No, it's about understanding the user when he needs it, what he needs it, how he needs it, and provide it, and there is a value. And I'm very surprised that people are paying for yearly subscription, and I have to try that on my neobank.
Yeah. The next question: cyber security. We have had many neobanks around the world had serious issues. They build it on open source platforms. Some of them had to publicly come apologize. Some of them had to shut down as a result of this. How are you addressing that? Is that an issue? Is that a bigger risk for every neobank? Suman, we start with you.
Yes, there are. But again, I will put it in a simpler way. Let me put it in a different way. I will say everyone in India is talking about open banking, okay, but there is nothing open about banking in India. Simple and clear. Okay, so if you go to European banking as a platform, right, or European bank, and you can go to their websites and you can access their APIs and you can start testing their APIs from day one. Okay, and then you can build a prototype before going live, and then once you build a prototype, you can do certain checks, and then you can test with certain users, and you can go live. India is not so easy. Before we even want to get the APIs, I'm saying even before we have to get the APIs to test in the UAT, we have to do the amount of security checks, amount of compliance and regulation checks, the amount of certifications we have to done. The banks never open their APIs to you until and unless you follow 20, 30 pages of security checks, ISO, ISM, PCI DSS, all the DDoS, all the the penetration tests, and it should be certified by a certificate authority, and we never get access. That is the reason I always say there is nothing open about banking in India, open banking in India, and banks really, if you do not even comply with one single point, they never give you access to their APIs, they never give you access to their even the testing servers, and it's I know what we go through, so I will say, okay, I'm not saying there is no chance of cyber threat, but yeah, there is a huge chance because they are more clever than anyone, right? I know. I'm a tech guy myself. I'm a tech guy myself, so I know how things are. I saw the whole Bitcoin ransomware in 2010. When I first saw a friend, a lawyer, advocate company, or a friend of mine, his whole company will. Or ransomware, and they asked for 10 bitcoins, right? And then those days it's 10 bitcoins, and they go like, dude, you have bitcoins, right? You want to give? Like, yeah, I'll give you for what? I have to pay someone so they can remove the ransomware. And like, no, don't pay. Let's pay, and then everything. That's how they're very clever. They started with bitcoins on those days. Right now, it's much more. So we really have to be, make sure that the security is perfect. We have to make sure that all the certifications are done, all the testing is done, and the 24/7 constant modernization is very important for a neobank along with a bank partner.
Yeah. Ganesh, you want to quickly comment? Brief one?
I'll just, I think Suman, did a very good job by explaining, all of it. And I'm able to fully relate to him. Just that I have a slightly different perspective. And as a bank, we follow exactly all of those, checks and balances that Suman does, because one, the regulator expects us to do. And secondly, and I mentioned this earlier, people trust us by storing money with us. So to that extent, I think we have not just a legal obligation, but also a moral obligation of ensuring that we don't fail the customer's trust. And all of these are exceptionally critical, to ensuring that. We've seen multiple cases of multiple, fintechs or other regulated entities where data has been compromised and so on and so forth. It does put a lot of risk, and hence to make sure that these things don't come up. I think all of what someone mentioned, which he sees as pain, I would think is actually in a manner doing good to customers. I'm sure someone will have a different point of view on that. We can possibly catch up later and discuss.
When coming to the customer, I will never have a different point of view, and you're totally right about it, Ganesh. When the customer comes first.
Got it. Thanks.
A quick question, very short answer is scale necessary for neobanks to win? Yes. Is scale necessary? Without a scale, you cannot win and be profitable now. Is that a prerequisite?
I'll answer that question first. Yeah, sorry, Suman, go for it.
No, Ganesh, go on. I want to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, see, it's a function of how which customer segment you're looking at and what kind of products you're offering. For example, if you and the way in which the group, the Bharti group is sort of looking at it is to say that possibly half of India has a smartphone. 2/3 of them use it for any kind of social media transactions. Possibly 1/3 of that, use it for any financial transaction, which is possibly 150 to 200 million customers. So there is a massive market. Now, if you choose to say that I want to play in half of India who has a smartphone, that's potentially more than 500 million customers in India, then the model is very different, because then you need to look at high transacting use cases, get you and your peer group to start adopting your brand, and drive it in that manner. However, if you choose to say that I'm looking at only 2 million customers who park their car every day at a mall, for the sake, or in their office, for the sake of argument, in which case then, because that tends to be, and I'm now talking about the entire FASTag acquiring opportunity. There are a lot of fintechs potentially moving towards a neobanking sort of a time frame who want to play in that space, in which case it's niche, but it tends to be higher margin. So I don't think it's a function of your business model, which customer segment you're going after, and how would you sort of see. That's my very short answer, Suman.
Very good.
Totally right. It's depending on the segments you're focusing on, what kind of verticals you're focusing. For example, if you're focusing on a white collar freelancers, right, you see a tremendous value proposition over there. Because I'll just give you one of the biggest pain points is for a freelancer in India is to receive the money from their foreign clients. right? It's still a pain point. How about you solve that? And there is a huge money on the forex, right? And most of these freelancers, their income is very erratic. Sometimes you make 10,000, sometimes you make 50,000, so they cannot really plan their financial journey, right? How about you make sure that they get the revenue? And most of these freelancers, they are not. Most of the people, they don't even give you loans, or they don't give you a credit card because they are not on the credit score, because they don't have a job or they don't have a business, right? How about that focusing? So if you focus on that and generate revenue on certain segments, and if you are focusing on students, they have to do a lot of transactions on their credit card, debit card, because they don't have any money to store, right? So you really have to have the scale if you're focusing on the millennial or student segment. But and if you're focusing on the white collar job holders with the salary bracket of 45,000 to 1 lakh, you can sell them insurance, you can push mutual funds, you can push multiple products. So it depends. Scale is important based on what are those segments and what are the verticals you're focusing. Yeah.
Got it. Excellent. There is so much more to talk, and I think both of you are so enthusiastic. I believe it has brought in a lot of energy and excitement to everybody who is excited about playing in this space. So thank you very much for your time and for that insights. I truly think there is so much of a growth opportunity, with the consumption of financial services, that there is an opportunity for so many companies to contribute. And as you said, scale is important, but it really depends on the segments that you're offering. So thank you very much. Wishing you, Ganesh, success. May the 3 billion per month become 30 billion per month very soon. And Suman, we will get to that 3 billion hopefully very, very soon as well. Wishing you all success in it. Yeah.
Thank you, Manoj.
Thank you very much, Ganesh, and thank you, Suman.
Thank you, Suman. Yeah. Nice talking to you.